So welcome everyone. It's good to see you. Today we have two questions which are kind of related. So I'll just read them both. First question is from Rubens. And he asks, your little insight 47 raises in my mind the factors of intention and cultivation of skillful means. Perhaps those could be considered. The factors of intention and cultivation of skillful means. Okay. And the second question is from a friend, a mysterious ninja on a white horse. I use that, it's more fun than anonymous. I was watching today's little insight and very focused on it when the phone rang. I looked at who was phoning and waited for the phone to stop ringing. Saw that my body contracted and I felt intense stress about a decision. Can you suggest a way that I can work mindfully and directly with this self-harming pattern of behavior and its companion behaviors? So here it's about decision making. So the first question is about intention and cultivation of skillful means. The second question is stress about decision making, indecisiveness. Okay. So most of you that know me know that I talk mostly about present moment awareness, of abiding here and now, making that your mainstay throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the years. We're continuously dwelling, being aware of what is, just as it is. So the emphasis is on seeing rather than on doing. Does that mean, however, that doing is unimportant or should be neglected? So many people, they feel this kind of split there. They think, okay, wait a second, I can't be present for the rest of my life. What will happen if I'm present all the time? Then they imagine that once they are present and aware of their life in this moment, that somehow they will become completely inactive, like a machine that you turn off. That is a very understandable fear, which of course arises out of confusion. It doesn't come from experience. Because the actual experience of being presently aware of what you're doing doesn't mean that you need to stop the doing. It simply means that you know the doing as it happens. Yeah, so it's not about blocking out anything. Presence doesn't mean blocking out essential aspects of life. It's like asking, when you're present, do you stop going to the bathroom? No. You go to the bathroom, but you do so with awareness. See, that is a difference in that. So when you're present, does it mean that you stop eating food? No. You still eat. But you do so, you could even say more fully. So the act of eating is enhanced by presence. The act of walking somewhere is enhanced if you're really there, if you're here with every step. The walking still happens, you still reach the goal. But there is a sense of satisfaction in the here and now, and what stops is the searching for something else, now that's important, to make me happy. That stops. The idea, the illusion that happiness somehow is later. And it has to be reached through incessant activity. Like, I can only be happy if I drown myself in continuous activity. Is that true? Right? And this problem of decision making is, for example, based on that. It's based on the idea that I can only be happy if I make the right decision. It's very simple, it's very basic. And many people are afraid of this. They want to make the perfect decision. That might come from a fear that has arisen from a past action. Maybe you did a few really bad decisions in your life. And so you become afraid of decision making. It's a trauma. So you're scared of making decisions. And that's okay. Many people are. I have to make a very important decision. Many people freak out about making decisions. And it can go to the point of being completely paralyzed. You have to make a decision and you freeze in your body. You can't do anything. Some people can't get out of their bed. Some people can't pick up their phone. It's just pure anxiety and tension. The tension of, will I be happy? Right? It's clearly based on the idea that you're not here yet. And the decision will show whether you will be here or not in the future. Because you feel you're not really here. And that is the fundamental problem. And as long as we keep ignoring that and favor the process of decision making over presence, we keep staying in that dilemma. It doesn't change. So you make your decision, you end up at another place in your life, and you still feel like frozen and paralyzed. Then another decision comes your way, and you have to make the same. You have to go through the same thing again. Because in life, that's what we do. We have to make decisions all the time. So decision making is something that you can practice. Well, here we come to skillful means. Practicing decision making, which is a very wise thing to do. And in order to practice that properly, you want to become aware of what is it that makes you make a decision. Where do your decisions come from? Well, let's say, do they come from fear? Is that the overwhelming pattern, majority that you have in your life, that you're deciding out of fear? That is not too uncommon. That's in fact very common. Most of us decide based on a fear. Because that's what we learn our entire life long from people who want to sell stuff to you. That you can only be happy if you have that stuff. And if you don't have it, wow, you're screwed. That's it. If you don't have that product, I don't want to be you. It's dangerous not to have that product. It's dangerous not to watch the news. You might be misinformed. You might not be informed. It's all these fears. And so we decide constantly based on, oh God, I hope it will all work out. Hope and fear always come together, right? Some people are very romantic. They say, hey, don't worry, as long as there's still hope. Sounds great. But hope essentially is fear in a white dress. It's the same thing, just a different word for it. And fear is a hope in a black dress. So no matter whether you're hoping, is there still hope? It means you're feeling essentially you're not here. You're not here, but soon, hopefully, you'll be here. And between you and being here, there is this important decision to make, which determines that you will be here or not. And there's a risk involved. Makes the whole thing more dramatic, because your decision might imply that you will not be here the way you should be here, or the way you feel you should be here. I might be here in a way that feels dreadful. If I make the wrong decision. So the practice is then, in that case, if your primary decision-making drive is fear, then you want to recognize that. Okay, now I'm acting out of fear, and do that repetitively. Take notes. You have to become really active with this. Like, make a diary. How many decisions did I make today? A decision diary. What kind of decisions did I make today, and why did I make them? Become a bit more conscious of the way you make decisions. you don't have to do it with a diary. You can also really become aware of it. Make it your intention to become really aware of the way you make decisions. And after a week of training, 2 weeks of training, you will notice an increased awareness, increased consciousness about the way you make decisions. You'll catch yourself making decisions. It's like, whoa, right now I'm in the process of making a decision and I'm totally ruled by fear right now. It's like you're going through the supermarket, you buy a Coke. What makes me buy the Coke? What makes me choose kind of Coke over something else? Becoming a bit more awake to what is it that drives you. And when you notice it's overwhelmingly fear, then you have to apply an antidote. You could apply an antidote. And that's not artificial bravery, even though that can help sometimes too. Just make the decision, see what happens. That's okay. You can do that too. Like, just jump in there. Just do it. And then learn that, hey, it's not the end of times. It's okay to mess up. In fact, it's all right to make mistakes. I think for many people, that's the fundamental problem. They can't make a decision because they're damn scared to make a mistake. I don't want to mess up. I can't afford making a mistake, because in our culture, making mistakes is just the last thing you want to do. Everyone wants to be looking as perfect as possible. You go online, that's the proof. Everybody tries to look as good as they can, to speak as good as they can. Presenting themselves continuously in a way that they perceive to be free from mistake, free from trouble. I just recently heard that, for example, in Japan, a great trouble for the students of English language is that they cannot speak because they're so afraid of making mistakes. And I see that all over the place, not only in Japan, I see that here in Thailand too. Thais are very afraid of losing face. When they speak English, to make a mistake, you lose face. It's a big thing. So they are scared to do it. And because they're scared to do it, they never learn it. That's the problem. So you can't learn something if you're afraid of making mistakes. Making mistakes is the learning. It's the path. It's your shoes in which you walk is making mistakes. It's getting you forward. Those who dare to make mistakes, those who are okay with making mistakes, who are relaxed about making mistakes, they are usually very successful. They don't keep themselves back. They are okay to mess up, because messing up is a fundamental human quality. It's an opportunity. If you don't dare to mess up, you don't evolve. In fact, evolving is messing up. So many times until you find the way that works, whereas everyone else is paralyzed. I can't possibly do that because something might go wrong. But that's okay. Stuff can go wrong. It's good because you have a solid refuge within yourself. Here we're coming back to presence. The power of being able to be completely rested, confident and comfortable within yourself. So you don't need to do the right thing so you can feel better, because you feel great. Now, doing the right thing or making an error, making a mistake, is secondary. It doesn't really matter, because you feel good. To give you kind of an example, if you just won the lottery, you're totally rich now, you don't have to ever worry about money anymore in your life. So you're happy about it. You feel good about it. Now, if a problem comes along your way, you are kind of like, okay, whatever, let's just solve it. Because you feel it doesn't really affect you anymore. But if you're broke and then a problem comes your way, it's big. That's big trouble. You have no insurance and you get sick. Big trouble. You have insurance, at least there's some sort of guarantee-ish that you'll be covered. So you have something to fall back onto, and that should be yourself. That's your safety net. Your safety net is your being, not your activities. If you feel safe only through activity, then you're constantly feeling unsafe because activity constantly changes. It doesn't lead to any permanent, satisfying state. That's the problem with activity. This is the problem of seeking refuge only in activity, only in time. Oh, I hope I'll get there. If I do more meditation, then soon I'll be... Insert your fantasy. Yeah, that's what this is. This is what this is. It's very straightforward. You imagine yourself, you should be some sort of whatever, and therefore you should meditate so you can get there to your imagination. It's totally absurd, but we still do it. And we do it with all seriousness. Also, very serious about it. I'm practicing meditation. Shh, don't disturb me. It's very serious. It's very serious because it's very dramatic. It's all about getting there. It's like everything in life seems to be all about getting there. Where? It's so funny because are you not here? You're not here? Where do you need to get? Where do you try to be? It's total neglect of your being. And if we live continuously in that state of total neglect of our being, then sure, everything depends on your decisions. And that's miserable. Because you're bound to mess up. And for those who know that, okay, I'm bound to mess up. I turn left, I will mess up. I turn right, I will mess up. Okay, so I turn left then. Let's see what happens. For them, life is a bit more like an adventure. Let's see where life carries me. Where will I end up? What will happen if I do this? And hey, if it doesn't work out, you can make another decision. I always say that. You're not just limited to that one single decision that you need to make and then that's the end of your life. You're stuck with that. The fear of being stuck. You're never stuck, really. You can always make a decision. And if it's the decision to relax, because nothing else works, you're cornered, your back's on the wall, you can't do nothing anymore, you're cornered. So you can still decide to relax. Maybe death is around the corner. You can still decide to relax. And if we start training that now, chances are that you will relax. That's very inspiring. People who are totally relaxed about death. It's all right with me to die. It's all right. And the small practice is, it's all right to make mistakes. It's a small death, a mistake. And so the most crucial thing is, now to come to Ruben's question, skillful means and intention. What is our intention on that path? So what is it that moves you right now? Forget what moves you in 5 minutes. Or what moved you 5 minutes ago. Forget that. It's irrelevant now. What is relevant right now is what is moving you right now. Because this is what is determining the direction you take. Let's say it's kindness that moves you. It moves you to, what would you do? Smile at someone? Well, then you're already made a little decision, and it's a conscious decision, a conscious act. Very empowering on top of that. I decide to be kind to a person. And you follow through, and you see what it does. And it unfolds a beautiful direction. And I think, for me, I sometimes fear to make decisions also. I have too fearful decisions to make. Things that freak me out. But I still have to do them. So my way out of this is always that I know, but I can always be kind. No matter what happens, because I don't know what happens, and that can be scary. If you really consider, you don't know what's going to happen with you. Anything could happen. Anything. Absolutely anything. That can be quite scary, particularly if you're that type of person like myself that tends to pick out all the negative things that could happen. And then it's like anything could happen, and I go like, oh, I could get paralyzed, I could be robbed, I could be raped, I could be shot, I could lose my job, I could be imprisoned in Thailand, and then... Why would I pick all that stuff, by the way? It's just a habit. My mind does stuff like that. So, but it doesn't really matter what will happen. It doesn't matter. But what matters is, what do I do now? Right now. Or how do I respond to life from this moment? For example, how could I be kind right now? Maybe no one around you, so how can you be kind to yourself? Maybe you hurt emotionally, physically. You need some kindness. How can you give it to yourself? Maybe you're scared of something. How would you talk to your best friend that's scared? Like, come on, stop that. That's silly. You shouldn't be scared of that. Come on, you're grown up. Get your act together. Or would you be very kind to your friend, understanding? So can you be in the same way, understanding and kind to yourself? You're going through a hard time. You need kindness. You need to be nice to yourself and understanding. Wow, I'm overwhelmed. Well, yes, you're a human being. Most people are overwhelmed. The majority just thinks they are not. But as soon as you're alone in your little room with no distraction, there it is, for all of us. The many years of neglect, of not looking at yourself, not being kind with yourself, then they come up. Can be a scary thing. Particularly for spiritual practitioners, they have a heightened sensitivity. They look at themselves a lot. And if you look at yourself in a way that is aggressive, or coming from a control freak kind of way, you're going to give yourself a hard time. But that's okay too. It's part of being a human being. And the challenge here is to kindly accept that and kind of work around it. Learn to somehow work with this. Work with those things that give you a hard time. The first step, always kindly accepting something that is skillful means. Let's say you're very scared at night, you're alone in your bed, you don't know what's going to happen, and your mind goes to fantasies of yourself, of your house being broken into, or whatever it is that you go through. There is a disturbed being there. Can you take your distance from it and be nice to it? Take care of it. It needs that. It doesn't need more disparagement and hate and aggression and all that kind of stuff. We all need to be looked after and taken care of. And other people, it's not other people's jobs, to be honest. It's your job to do that. If you walk around waiting for other people to love you, that's going to take you... This is difficult because people are mostly busy with themselves. Like we all are, right? Constantly circling around our own little lives and our own little things and what happens to us, and we're in our little bubbles, all of us, and that's okay. That's the way it is. Is it okay? Can you relax with that? Can you relax with your human beingness, with the fact that you mess up? The more you can relax with that, the more you can receive that with kindness, the less scared you will be of decision making. then decision making is not a life or death thing anymore. It's just a human decision that I make as a human being. It doesn't mean if you make the wrong decisions, everybody will abandon you and hate you. No, not at all. Never is the case. Because you can always make another decision, a good one. And then another one. And then another one. And then you make a bad decision again. And then you make 5 good ones again. You see how it works? Yeah, it's okay to make mistakes, but don't dwell on them. Just make it better now. Improve now. What can you do right now that's great? To yourself? To someone else? What would you find inspiring in someone else? You can do it. There's some people who have absolutely nothing and they're very inspiring. There's some people who have a lot and they're very inspiring. Where are you at? How can you be inspiring? It's pretty simple. What could you do right now? Forget in 10 years, forget I have to be now inspiring for the 10 upcoming years. Just be it now, that's good enough. And then be it again, and then again, and again. So what is skillful means? Skillful means is everything that comes out of a constructive and positive emotion. Like kindness, compassion, the wish to be free from suffering for yourself and for others. That's compassion. The wish for happiness for yourself and others. That's kindness. These two are very powerful. If you act based on those two, your life is going to take turns. You won't even believe just how amazing life can be if you follow these two. Many people, they act from what can I get out of life? I want to get this, abundance, that, I need this, I want that. It's all for me. I want, the whole day long. Never really anyone asking themselves, what is it that I can give right now? But that's the more important facet of life, really. That's what matters when you do your last breath. What have I given? What you have received is not so important. What have you given today? What comes to mind spontaneously? Does it feel good to think about this? Well, then keep going. Make another such decision. And then keep telling yourself, you can use another skillful means, affirmations. I'm totally relaxed about messing up. It's totally fine to mess up. Or I'm relaxed about being a human being. Human beings mess up. But I'm okay with it. Talk to yourself in that way again and again. You want to establish a new neurological pathway. A different way of thinking, maybe one that serves you more. Like instead of going through old thinking patterns again and again, reaffirming them again and again, try new thinking patterns. And in the beginning it feels completely weird. Maybe you have trouble with fear. Someone might break into my house. Well, then start thinking the opposite. I'm totally safe and protected by life. Life is carrying me. I'm surrounded by love. Be creative. And in the beginning that feels like, that's the fake thing, right? Like, I'm safe. Well, that's a lie. The truth is, I'll be robbed. Do you see that? What's the real truth? Will you be robbed or are you safe? Which one do you pick? And then it's only a matter about repeating it. You got to teach your brain, like, look, that's the truth. I'm safe. Follow through with some, I'm safe. Make the sounds of safety. Move your body as if you were safe. Move your body as if you were surrounded by love. Talk as if you were surrounded and carried by love. How does that change the way you act? That's skillful means. What if you wouldn't have to worry anymore about anything in life? What if life was carrying you? What if that was always been the case, always been true? What if you've always been carried by life? Even more so, what if you are life itself? No, I'm not life. I have life. Life is mine. Is it? Are you the owner of life? Well, then decide to live for 120 more years. Are you the owner of health? Then decide to be healthy then. Okay, I'm going to be healthy now because I own that stuff. I'll never have any problem anymore in my life. Doesn't work that way. But what works is I'm relaxed and happy. I can deal with anything that comes along because I can always decide to be kind. Even in the worst scenarios, I can still decide to be kind. There's an amazing story of a monk who was imprisoned in a Chinese gulag for about 20 plus years. And he was released and he got an audience with the Dalai Lama. And the Dalai Lama asked him this question. Now, haven't you been scared in this prison? He has been tortured heavily in the worst possible ways you could ever imagine. He's been tortured, physiological, psychological torture, 20 years in hell. And so Dalai Lama asked him, have you been afraid? Have you been scared? And the monk said yes. And the Dalai Lama's question, he continues his questioning, he says, what of? And the monk amazingly answered, well, I've been scared of losing kindness and compassion for those who torture me. That is a perspective. Now he is just a human being like you are. There's literally no difference in the mindset. Or there's no difference in the mind, in the basic mind. We all have the same mind. Your mind can be changed. That's pretty cool. You're not a slave of your mind. You can change it. So if your mind doesn't serve you, let's say it paralyzes you each time you have to make a decision, then how could you change it? That requires skillful thinking, contemplation, skillful type of reflection, and presence. Discover yourself on deeper and deeper levels, so that you are your own refuge, literally. As the Buddha points to, the Buddha says, be your own island. Atahi atano nato. This means be your own refuge. That's what the Buddha points to. Be your own refuge. It means you're not trying to find something in life that is going to save you, but you have found deliverance within. So wherever you go, you're released, you're relaxed, you're at ease. And then that's very inspiring for other people too, of course. There's another thing that Rubens mentioned, I think I overlooked that. So he mentioned that one is intention, I think. Cultivation of skillful means and intention. Well, yes, intention. Intention is action. It's everything. Intention is karma. The Buddha himself has pointed to, he said, what is karma? Karma is intent. So whenever you are intending something, you are pushing the wheel of cause and result into motion. It starts, you're starting off something. You are having a direction. So it is very skillful to actually be aware when you are intending something, to kind of get this look into the future. I know where that leads to. Like let's say, for example, I do that with Pan very often, much to her dislike, I think, because sometimes she likes to eat something that will give her an upset stomach the next day. She'll feel really bad. She gets really sick when she eats that, but she really loves the food. It tastes so good. And so when she says like, okay, I'm just going to the market, I'm going to get this and that, I'll be like, I can see the future. And that makes her wake up in turn. It makes her go, oh yeah, all right, I know what happens when I eat this. It will lead to that. And upon considering that deeply, she abandons eating that. That's a method you can use for yourself. I can see the future. Now, when I yell back at that obnoxious guy in front of me, what will happen? Because what happens when you yell at people? Well, they will yell back even louder. And then you will yell back even louder. And then you will feel horrible for the rest of the day. So why not step back and stop doing it? Like literally just shut up. Let him have it. Let the other person be right. Political discussions and all that kind of stuff, let them be right. Let them have it. And just relax instead. Be at ease instead. No need to get into their fire and burn with them. Just be at ease. But if you can take that decision, it means you need to be mindful. It needs awareness. So in order to modify our intention to our benefit, we need to have a basic degree of awareness. You need to literally know when you intend something before you do it. You need to catch yourself. And that goes against the grain of a lifelong habit of living in complete automatisms. We just react to life automatically out of habits. So that makes it tough a little bit. Writing a diary, really getting this practice going, it will take time. Give yourself that time. The key is consistency, which is another skillful means. Being consistent in what you're doing. There's many skillful means. It might be a skillful mean to watch a movie, even though maybe you say, I'm not going to watch movies, I'm going to do a screen detox for the next month. I'm not going to look at any screens. And then you find someone being like really down and they say, I would love to watch a movie with you, and you give up your screen detox out of kindness for the other person. And at the same time, you use the movie to practice presence, not to get sucked into the action. Just use it as a little meditation exercise. So you can combine many things. All this is skillful means. Basically anything that helps you to progress on the path towards release, freedom from suffering. The primary point of meditation is release. There's nothing as blissful as that. Combining presence with intention, action, ambition, and goal-seeking is really simple, because everything you do, it only has quality as long as you do it consciously. If you're doing something like half of your consciousness is over there, the other half is over there, and your attention is all over the place, then you're not doing it properly. It doesn't really serve anyone. But if you do something 100% and fully, you add power to it. So that's how presence adds quality to your doing, your goal seeking. Sitting down, consciously becoming aware. Okay, what do I really want? It takes presence to do that. To really establish a good plan, a sharp plan, a wise plan. It takes a lot of presence to do that. Everything in life does. Life is constantly asking for your attention. Constantly. And if we keep ignoring it, the result is called suffering. So that's pretty much all that comes to mind for these two questions. As always, these are vast topics and you can talk endlessly about it, but at some point there has to be a period, so that's what it is. Are there any questions?